How are you guys doing? Today is Wednesday, August 25th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Tuesday, August 24th, and of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Of course, starting in the MLB, because the MLB is the only active league going on in the United States that isn't in preseason right now. Starting off in Oakland, the Oakland Athletics, who are fighting for a playoff spot, hosted the Seattle Mariners, and the Mariners were able to pick up a 5-1 win on the road after the Mariners picked up the first run of the game in the bottom of the first. For the Oakland Athletics, the start and the loss were given to Oakland's starting pitcher for the day, and it would end up going to Cole Irvin. Cole Irvin would allow 3 earned runs in the first 3 innings of the game as he was unable to strike out a batter. With this loss, Cole Irvin is 9-12 on the season. In the A's batting lineup, their first baseman, Mitch Moreland, went 2 for 4 with an RBI, and their shortstop, Elvis Andrus, went 2 for 4. For the Seattle Mariners, the start and the win went to Chris Flexen. He allowed 1 earned run off of 6 hits and 6.2 innings pitched as he struck out 5. The save would go to Drew Steckenrider as he finished out the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings for Seattle. He would allow no earned runs in that stretch as he allowed 2 hits, striking out 1 batter. He picked up his 6th save of the year. In the Mariners batting lineup, their designated hitter, Luis Torrens, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their catcher, Todd Murphy, went 2 for 3 with a run. And then their center fielder, Jared Kelenic, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. With this win, the Seattle Mariners are now 69-58. That is the 3rd best record in the American League West. They've won their last 3 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. And right now they trail the Houston Astros by 5.5 games in the division, and they now trail the Boston Red Sox by 3 games for the second wild card spot, as they are the second team on the outside looking in, only trailing the Oakland Athletics in that race. With this loss, the Oakland Athletics are now 70-57. That is the 2nd best record in the American League West. They've lost their last 4 games, and they've lost 8 of their last 10. They trail the Houston Astros by 4.5 games in the division, and they trail the Boston Red Sox by 2 games for that second American League wildcard spot that I just mentioned earlier. They are the first team on the outside looking in as they sit a game ahead of the Seattle Mariners in that race. Jumping out to Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles hosted the Los Angeles Angels, and the Angels would pull off a 14-8 win on the road as they picked up win number 63 of the season. They scored 13 of their 14 runs between the 2nd and 4th inning, a 5-3-5 scoring affair. For the Baltimore Orioles, the start and the loss was given to Spencer Watkins. Spencer Watkins allowed 8 earned runs in the first 2 innings of the game as he struck out 3 batters. With this loss, he's 2-6 on the season. In the Orioles batting lineup, their first baseman, Ryan Mountcastle, went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He would hit his 22nd and 23rd home runs of the season. Their right fielder, Anthony Santander, went 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs. Santander would hit his 13th home run of the year. Their third baseman, Ramon Urias, went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. And then their shortstop, Jorge Mateo, would end up going 2 for 2. For the Los Angeles Angels, the start was given to Dylan Bundy. Dylan Bundy would pitch 1.1 innings, striking out 3 batters and allowing only 1 run. The win would go to the Angels' first relief pitcher, Junior Guerra. Guerra would allow 4 earned runs as he would finish out the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th innings for LA. He allowed 4 earned runs in that stretch and struck out 4 batters. And with this win, he's now 4-2 on the season for LA. In the Angels batting lineup, their second baseman, David Fletcher, went 2 for 6 with 2 RBIs. Their third baseman, Phil Gosselin, went 2 for 5 with 2 runs. Their all-star first baseman, Jared Walsh, went 2 for 5 with 2 runs. Their shortstop, Jose Iglesias, ended up going 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs. Their catcher, Max Stassi, ended up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their center fielder, Brandon Marsh, would end up going 4 for 6 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Their left fielder, Joe Adell, went 2 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs. And the right fielder, Juan Lagares, went 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. Lagares hit his 3rd home run of the season, and the Angels had 19 hits on the day. With this win, the LA Angels are now 63-64. That is the 4th best record in the American League West. They've won 5 of their last 10 games, and they now trail the Houston Astros by 11.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Baltimore Orioles are now 38-86. That is the worst record in the American League East. That is the worst record in the American League, and that is the worst record in the majors at the moment. They've lost their last 19 games as they now trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 39 games. That is the difference between the best and worst record in the American League. Jumping out to Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Pirates hosted the Arizona Diamondbacks as these two teams are sitting at the bottom of the National League. And this one, the Pirates would pull off the 4-2 home win as they scored 2 runs in the 3rd and 2 runs in the 4th as Anthony Alford hit his first home run of the season. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, the start and the loss were given to Madison Bumgarner. The World Series hero allowed 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this loss, Bumgarner is 7-8 on the year. In the Diamondbacks batting lineup, their right fielder, Josh Rojas, would end up going 2 for 5. And then their third baseman, Asdrubal Cabrera, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run on the day. And for the Pittsburgh Pirates in this matchup, the start and the win were given to JT Brubaker. Brubaker allowed no earned runs as he in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 6. With his win, he's now 5-13 on the season, and the save was given to the Pirates closer, Chris Stratton. Stratton allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. He picked up his 2nd save of the year. In the Pirates batting lineup, their second baseman, Michael Chavis, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And then additionally, he was the only player in the Pirates batting lineup with more than 1 hit. With this win, the Pittsburgh Pirates are now 46-80. That is the worst record in the National League Central and the 2nd worst record in the National League. They've won their last 2 games and they've won 4 of their last 10. They trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 31 games in the division. With this loss, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 42-85. That is the worst record in the National League, and that is the worst record in the NL wildcard, as they have lost more than 2/3 of their games. They've lost their last 2, and they've lost 5 of their last 10. They currently trail the San Francisco Giants by 40 games, just to give a sense of what the gap is between the best and worst teams in the National League. Jumping out to Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Phillies hosted the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Rays were able to pull off a 3-1 win on the road as they were able to break the 1-1 tie in the top of the 8th thanks to a 2-run double from their elite designated hitter, Nelson Cruz. For the Philadelphia Phillies, the start was given to Ranger Suarez. Suarez allowed only 1 earned run in 6.2 innings, as he would allow 6 hits in that stretch. He struck out 7 batters. The loss was given to the Phillies' second relief pitcher, Archie Bradley. Bradley allowed 2 earned runs in the 8th inning as he struck out 2. With his loss, Bradley is 7-2 on the year. In the Phillies batting lineup, their shortstop Didi Gregorius went 2 for 4 with a run on the day. He was the only player with more than 1 hit. And for Tampa Bay, the start was given to Drew Rasmussen. Rasmussen would allow 1 earned run in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 1. The win was given to the Rays' second relief pitcher, JT Chargois. He would allow no earned runs as he struck out the only batter he faced to finish off the 7th inning. With this win, he's now 3-0 on the season, and the save was given to the Rays' closer for the day, Andrew Kittridge. Kittridge allowed no earned runs as he pitched the 8th and 9th innings, allowing only 1 hit and striking out 4. That was his 3rd save of the year. In the Rays batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their elite first baseman, Nelson Cruz. He went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. With this win, the Tampa Bay Rays are now 78-48. That is the best record in the American League East. They've won their last 3 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They currently sit 4 games ahead of the second-place New York Yankees in the division, and they are holding on to the number 1 seed in the American League, sitting ahead of the Houston Astros, holding that second spot out west, and they are sitting ahead of the Chicago White Sox, who are holding that third spot, leading the Central. With this loss, the Philadelphia Phillies are now 63-62. That is the second best record in the National League East. They've lost 7 of their last 10 as they now trail the Atlanta Braves by 4.5 games in the division. And they now trail the Cincinnati Reds by 5 games in the National League wildcard race. They are the 3rd team on the outside looking in, trailing the San Diego Padres and the St. Louis Cardinals in that regard. Jumping out to Toronto, the Blue Jays hosted the AL Central leading Chicago White Sox. And in this matchup, the White Sox would end up beating the Blue Jays 5-2. 4 of their 5 runs would come in the first inning, thanks to a 3-run home run from the reigning American League MVP, Jose Abreu, and also he would come back and RBI and a ground out in the 4th inning. Not to mention Danny Mendick's RBI double. For the Toronto Blue Jays, the start was given to Jose Barrios, and he picked up the 7th loss of the season. He allowed 4 earned runs in the first 3 innings of the game, as he struck out 6 batters. With this loss, he's 8-7 on the season. In the Blue Jays batting lineup, their left fielder Lourdes Gurriel Jr. went 2 for 4 with an RBI. And then for Chicago, the start was given to Dylan Cease. He allowed 1 earned run off of 4 hits in 7 innings pitched. He would strike out 7 batters on the day, and with this win, he's now 10-6 on the season. The save would end up going to the White Sox elite closer Liam Hendriks. Hendriks allowed 1 earned run, and he allowed 3 hits as he finished out the 8th and 9th innings. He pitched 1.2 innings, striking out 1 batter in that stretch. He would pick up his 29th save of the season. And in the White Sox batting lineup, that would finish with 18 hits on the day. Their center fielder, Luis Robert, went 3 for 5 with 2 runs. Their third baseman, Yoan Moncada, went 3 for 5 with a run. Their elite first baseman, Jose Abreu, the reigning American League MVP, went 3 for 5 with 4 of the team's 5 RBIs and a run. He would go on to hit his 26th home run of the year. Their left fielder, Eloy Jimenez, would go 2 for 5 on the day. Their second baseman, Leury Garcia, went 2 for 5. Their designated hitter, Jake Lamb, would end up going 2 for 5 for himself on the day. And then their shortstop, Danny Mendick, would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI. With this win, the Chicago White Sox are now 73-54. That is the best record in the American League Central. They've won 5 of their last 10 games, as they now sit 10 games ahead of the second place Cleveland Indians in the division. Just to give a sense of where the White Sox sit, they are holding on to the 3rd seed in the American League playoff picture as they trail the number 1 Rays out east, and they trail the number 2 Houston Astros out west. With this loss, the Toronto Blue Jays are now 65-59. That is the 4th best record in the American League East. They've lost 7 of their last 10 games as they now trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 12 games in the division. And they now, right now that's where the Blue Jays are sitting as they are the 3rd team on the outside looking in. Jumping out to New York, the Mets hosted the San Francisco Giants, and the Giants were able to pull off another shutout win. They beat the Mets 8-0, holding the Mets to only 5 hits all game. The start and the loss for New York were given to Tyler McGill. He allowed 7 earned runs as he was unable to finish the 4th inning. He pitched 3.2 innings. He would strike out 5. With this loss, he is now 1-3 on the season. And in the Mets batting lineup, their elite first baseman, Pete Alonso, went 2 for 4. He was the only player on the day with more than 1 hit. For San Francisco, the start and the win were given to their starting pitcher, Sammy Long. Sammy Long would pitch more than 5 innings and allowed no earned runs in that span. He allowed 3 hits as he struck out 4. With this win, he's now 2-1 on the season. In the Giants batting lineup, their third baseman, Lamont Wade Jr., went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. Lamont Wade Jr. would hit his 17th home run of the season. Their first baseman, Brandon Belt, will go 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 18th and 19th home runs of the year. Their left fielder, Alex Dickerson, went 2 for 5 on the day, and their third baseman, Wilmer Flores, went 2 for 5 with a run. With this win, the San Francisco Giants are now 81-44. That is the best record in the National League West, the National League, and the major leagues as a whole. They've won their last 3 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They currently sit 3 games ahead of the second place Los Angeles Dodgers in their division. And in the playoff picture, they sit ahead of the second seed Milwaukee Brewers and the third seed Atlanta Braves out east, just to give a sense of how comfortable the Giants are with their season right now. With this loss, the New York Mets are now 61-64. That is the third best record in the National League East. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games as they trail the Atlanta Braves by 6.5 games in the division. And jumping out to Cleveland, the Cleveland Indians hosted the Texas Rangers, and the Rangers would pull off a 7-3 win on the road to pick up their 44th win of the season. They were only up by 1 going into the top of the 9th. They would create separation thanks to a 3-run home run from DJ Peters as the Indians were gaining momentum. For Cleveland in this matchup, the loss was given to their starting pitcher, Eli Morgan. Eli Morgan allowed 4 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With his loss, he's 2-6 on the year. In the Indians' batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their first baseman, Yu Chang. He went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run, and he would go on to hit his 4th home run of the season for Cleveland. For the Texas Rangers, the start was given to Taylor Hearn. Taylor Hearn allowed 3 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 6 in the first 5 innings of the game. With this win, he's 3-4 on the season. In the Rangers batting lineup, there's shortstop Isaiah Kiner-Falefa went 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their right fielder, Adolis Garcia, went 2 for 5 with 2 runs. Their first baseman, Nate Lowe, went 5 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 17th double of the season, and he would hit his 13th home run of the season as well as 3 singles. Additionally, their third baseman, Andy Ibanez, would end up going 3 for 5. And with this win, the Texas Rangers are now 44-81. That is the worst record in the American League West, and that is the second worst record in the American League. They've won 4 of their last 10 games, and they now trail the Houston Astros by 29.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Cleveland Indians are now 61-62. That is the second best record in the American League Central. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games as they now trail the Chicago White Sox by 10 games in the division. Jumping out to Boston, out to Fenway, the Red Sox hosted the Minnesota Twins, and they were able to pull off an 11-9 win at home as this was a nail-biter. They scored 9 of their 11 between the 3rd and 5th innings. For the Minnesota Twins, the loss was given to their starting pitcher, Griffin Jax. Griffin Jax allowed 9 earned runs in 4.2 innings pitched as he struck out 4 batters. With this loss, he's now 3-2 on the season as he's now 3-2 on the season for Minnesota. In the Minnesota Twins batting lineup, their shortstop Jorge Polanco went 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 23rd home run of the season. Their designated hitter, former American League MVP Josh Donaldson, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs as he hit his 18th home run of the year. Their third baseman on the Knights, for the Minnesota Twins, their third baseman Luis Arraez would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their catcher, Mitch Garver, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. Their second baseman, Nick Gordon, would end up going 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. And then last but not least, their center fielder, Jake Cave, would end up going 2 for 5. For the Boston Red Sox, the start was given to Tanner Houck. Houck allowed 3 earned runs as he was unable to finish the 4th inning. He pitched 4.2 innings. He struck out 6. The win was given to the Boston Red Sox first relief pitcher on the day, Josh Taylor. He allowed no earned runs as he finished out the 5th inning, and with this win, he's 1-0 on the year. The save was given to the Red Sox closer, Hansel Robles. Robles allowed no earned runs in the ninth inning as he struck out 2 batters. He would pick up his 11th save of the year. In the Red Sox batting lineup, their second baseman, Kike Hernandez, went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs on the day. Hernandez hit his 16th home run of the year. Their center fielder, Alex Verdugo, would end up going 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs on the day. And then their right fielder, Hunter Renfroe, went 2 for 4 with 5 RBIs and 2 runs. Renfroe hit his 24th and 25th home runs of the season for Boston. With this win, the Red Sox are now 72-55. That is the third best record in the American League East, as they've won their last 2 games and they've won 6 of their last 10. They currently trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 6.5 games in the division, and they're holding on to the second spot in the American League wild card as they trailed the New York Yankees by 2.5 games for the first spot, and they sit 2 games ahead of the Oakland Athletics, as the Athletics are the first team on the outside looking in. With this loss, the Minnesota Twins are now 54-71. That is the worst record in the American League Central. That is also the third worst record in the American League. They've lost their last 4 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. And they have now, and at the moment, they now trail the Chicago White Sox by 18 games in the division. Jumping out to Miami, the Miami Marlins hosted the Washington Nationals, and the Nationals were able to pull off a 5-1 win on the road as they scored all 5 of their runs between the 4th and 5th inning before the Marlins scored their only run in the 7th. For Miami, the loss was given to their starting pitcher, Jesus Luzardo. Luzardo allowed 5 earned runs in 4.2 innings pitched, and with this loss, he's now 4-7 on the year as he struck out 3. In the Marlins batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their center fielder, Brian De La Cruz. De La Cruz went 2 for 3 on the day. For the Washington Nationals, the start was given to Eric Fetty, or the start and the win were given to Eric Fetty. He allowed 1 earned run in 6.1 innings pitched as he allowed 6 hits in that span. He struck out 10 batters as well, and with this win, he's 6-8 on the year. In the Nats batting lineup, their shortstop, Alcides Escobar, went 2 for 5 on the day. Their left fielder, Yadiel Hernandez, ended up going 2 for 4 with a run. And then their catcher, Tres Barrera, would end up going 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his second home run of the year. With this win, the Washington Nationals are now 54-70. That is the 4th best record in the National League East. They've won 4 of their last 10, and they now trail the Atlanta Braves by 13 games in the division. With this loss, the Miami Marlins now are 51-75. That is the worst record in the National League East, as they have now lost their last 8 games, and they have lost 8 of their last 10. At the moment, they trail the Atlanta Braves by 17 games in the division. Jumping out to Atlanta, the Atlanta Braves hosted the New York Yankees, and the New York Yankees were able to pull off a 5-4 road win to pick up win number 74 in Atlanta. For Atlanta in this matchup, the start and the loss were given to Charlie Morton. Morton allowed 4 earned runs in 5 innings pitched. He would go on to strike out 9 batters on the day, and with this loss, he's 12-5 on the season. In the Atlanta Braves batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Ozzie Albies, went 2 for 5 with a run. Their third baseman, Austin Riley, went 3 for 3 with an RBI and a run. And for the New York Yankees in this matchup, the start went to Andrew Heaney. Heaney allowed 2 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 5. The win was given to the New York Yankees' third relief pitcher on the day. Clay Holmes would go on to allow no earned runs as he would go on to pitch the 6th inning, and he would strike out 1 batter. He's now 5-2 on the season for New York, and the save was given to their closer, Wandy Peralta. Peralta allowed no earned runs as he finished out the 9th inning with 1 out. He would pick up his 5th save of the year. And in the Yankees batting lineup, their elite center fielder, Aaron Judge, went 2 for 4 with a run. He was the only player with more than 1 hit in the lineup. And also in their batting lineup, their elite right fielder, Giancarlo Stanton, went 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run, hitting his 22nd home run of the season. Their elite second baseman, DJ LeMahieu, went 1 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 9th home run of the season. And with this win, the New York Yankees are now 74-52. That is the third best record in the that's the second best record in the American League East. They have won their last 11 games. That is the best win streak in all of baseball, as they now trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 4 games in the division. They now hold the number 1 seed in the American League wild card race by 2.5 games over the second place Boston Red Sox. With this loss, the Atlanta Braves are now 68-58. That is still the best record in the National League East. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've only lost 2 of their last 10. They now sit 4.5 games ahead of the second place Philadelphia Phillies in the division, just to give a sense of where they sit. And they're holding the number 3 seed in the National League playoff picture, trailing the 1 seed San Francisco Giants out west and trailing the 2nd seed Milwaukee Brewers of the Central. And jumping out to St. Louis, the St. Louis Cardinals hosted the Detroit Tigers for this interleague central matchup. And in this matchup, the Detroit Tigers would end up beating the Cardinals 4-3. The Tigers would end up scoring all 4 of their runs in the second and third innings, and the Cardinals would score all 3 of their runs in the 8th inning. For the Cardinals in this matchup, the start and the loss went to Jack Flaherty. Flaherty allowed 4 earned runs in the first 2 innings of the game. He struck out 1 batter. With this loss, Jack Flaherty is 9-2 on the season, and in the Cardinals batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit, as of course that would be attributed to great pitching from Detroit. For Detroit, the start and the win went to Casey Mize. He allowed no earned runs in the first 5 innings of the game. He allowed only 3 hits, striking out 2. With this win, he's 7-6 on the year, and the save would end up going to former American League Rookie of the Year, Michael Fulmer. He allowed no earned runs in 1.1 innings pitched as he finished the 8th and the 9th inning, and he would strike out 1 batter in that span. He would pick up his 8th save of the season, and in the Tigers' batting lineup, their future Hall of Fame first baseman Miguel Cabrera will go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 14th home run of the year. He was the only player on the Tigers with more than 1 hit. With this win, the Tigers are now 61-66. That is the 3rd best record in the American League Central. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 4 of their last 10. They trail the Chicago White Sox by 12 games in the division. With this loss, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 63-61. That is the 3rd best record in the National League Central, as they've lost 5 of their last 10. They currently trailed the Milwaukee Brewers by 13 games in the division, and they trailed the Cincinnati Reds for that 2nd National League wildcard spot by 4.5 games. They are the 2nd team on the outside looking in, as they trail only the San Diego Padres. Jumping out to Houston, the Houston Astros hosted the Kansas City Royals, and they were able to shut out the Royals 4-0, holding the Royals to only 4 hits as a team. For the Kansas City Royals, the start and loss were given to Brady Singer. He allowed 4 runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 6. With this loss, he's 3-9 on the season as Kansas City's starting pitcher. In their batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit, as that would be attributed to great pitching from Houston. In the Houston Astros pitching rotation, the start was and the win were given to Luis Garcia. Luis Garcia would allow no earned runs in 6.2 innings pitched as he allowed only 4 hits. He struck out 7 on the day. With this win, he's now 10-6. In the Astros batting lineup, their shortstop Carlos Correa would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs on the day. Their third baseman Aledmys Diaz would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. And then their left fielder Taylor Jones would end up going 2 for 4 on the day for Houston. With this win, the Houston Astros are now 74-52. That is the best record in the American League West. They've won 4 of their last 10 games, as they now sit 4.5 games ahead of the second place Oakland Athletics in the division. And at the moment, they are holding on to the 2nd seed in the American League playoff picture, as at the moment they trail the 1st seed Tampa Bay Rays, who are leading the Eastern Division, and they are sitting ahead of the 3rd seed Chicago White Sox, who are currently leading the American League Central Division, and that's where the Astros sit. With this loss, the Kansas City Royals are now 74-52. That is the I'm sorry. Yeah, the Kansas City Royals are now 56-69. That is the fourth best record in the American League Central. They've lost 3 of their last 10 games, and they now sit 16 games behind the Chicago White Sox in the division. Jumping out to Milwaukee, the National League Central leading Milwaukee Brewers hosted the Cincinnati Reds, and they were able to put up a 6-4 win or a 7-4 win at home. The Reds were leading 4-1 going into the 7th inning. In the bottom of the 7th, the Brewers would eventually tie the game off of 3 individual plays. Once they tied it up, Omar Narvaez would put them ahead on the go-ahead double. And then Colton Wong's 2-run home run at the bottom of the 8th would be what the Brewers needed for them to get win number 77. For the Cincinnati Reds, the start was given to Tyler Mahle. He allowed 1 earned run. Tyler Mahle allowed 1 earned run in 5.2 innings pitched as he struck out 8. The loss was given to the Reds' first relief pitcher, Michael Lorenzen. Lorenzen allowed 4 earned runs in 0.1 innings pitched as he would go on to finish out the 6th inning. And with this loss, he's now 0-1 on the season. In the Reds' batting lineup, their third baseman, Mike Moustakas, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 9th double of the year. And for Milwaukee, their all-star starting pitcher, Corbin Burnes, would get the start. He allowed 4 earned runs in the first 6 innings of the game, and as he allowed 7 hits and struck out 5. The win was given to Milwaukee's first relief pitcher on the day, Hunter Strickland. Hunter Strickland allowed no earned runs in the 7th inning of the game as he struck out 1. With this win, he's now 3-1 on the season, and the save was given to the Milwaukee Brewers elite closer, Josh Hader. He allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he struck out 1 batter on the day. With this win, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 77-49. They have now won their last 3 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They sit 8.5 games ahead of the second place Cincinnati Reds in the division, and they are holding on to the 2nd seed in the National League playoff picture. They trail these number 1 seed San Francisco Giants, who are currently leading the West Division, and they are currently sitting ahead of the 3 seed Atlanta Braves, who are currently leading the National League East. With this loss, the Cincinnati Reds are now 69-58. That is the 2nd best record in the National League Central. They've lost only 4 of their last 10 games. They sit 8.5 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers in their division, and they're holding on to the 2nd National League wild card slot as they now trail the Los Angeles Dodgers by 10 games in the division, or by 10.5 games in the division, and they sit a game ahead of the San Diego Padres at the moment in terms of what the playoff picture is looking like at this very moment, just to get a sense of what the MLB is looking like. And last but not least, jumping out to San Diego, the San Diego Padres hosted the LA Dodgers, and the Dodgers were able to pull off a 5-2 win on the road after picking up 4 of their 5 in the 7th and 8th innings. Picking up a good amount of momentum for them to pick up win number 79. For San Diego, the start and loss were given to Pierce Johnson. Pierce Johnson allowed 1 earned run in the first inning of the game, and with this he would strike out 2 batters in that first inning. With this loss, he's now 3-3 on the year. The win would end up going to the LA Dodgers starting pitcher, Julio Urias. Urias allowed no earned runs, and he only allowed 1 hit in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this win, he is now 14-3 on the year as a starting pitcher. And then the save was given to the Dodgers' good old reliable closer, Kenley Jansen. He allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he allowed a hit and struck out 2. This was his 28th save of the year. Nobody on the Dodgers would finish with more than 1 hit. But their catcher, Will Smith, would go 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 19th home run of the year. With this win, the defending World Series champs are now 79-47. That is the 2nd best record in the National League West. They've won 9 of their last 10 games, and they now trail the San Francisco Giants by 2.5 games in the division. They now hold sole control over the number 1 spot in the National League wildcard race. They sit 10.5 games ahead of the second place Cincinnati Reds in that regard. With this loss, the San Diego Padres are now 68-59. That is the third best record in the National League West, as they have now lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 8 of their last 10. They trailed the San Francisco Giants by 14 games in the division, and they are currently sitting 1 game behind the Cincinnati Reds for the second National League wildcard spot, a spot that they've been holding for most of the season up until now. But that's where the Padres sit, as they're the first team on the outside looking in. Officially, that is what the MLB is looking like following yesterday's matchups. Looking at what's going on today, as today is Wednesday, today is more of a travel day. Starting off at the very top of the day at 1:15, John Lester and the St. Louis Cardinals are going to host Tarek Skubal and the Detroit Tigers. At 2:10, Lance McCullers Jr. and the Houston Astros are going to host Mike Minor and the Kansas City Royals. Lance McCullers Jr. enters his matchup with a 10-4 record, holding a 3.21 ERA. At 2:20, it'll be the first game of a doubleheader between Chicago and Colorado. In this first matchup, Zach Davies will take the mound for Chicago, and Austin Gomber will take the mound for Colorado. In Game 2, Justin Steele is going to take the mound for Chicago, as Colorado is looking for their second pitcher. At 7:05, the Baltimore Orioles are going to host the LA Angels, who are going to be led by their all-star starting pitcher, Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani enters this matchup with an 8-1 record, holding a 2.79 ERA. At 7:05 on ESPN+, Mitch Keller and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to host Tyler Gilbert and the Arizona Diamondbacks. At the same time, at 7:05, Zach Wheeler and the Philadelphia Phillies are going to host Ryan Yarbrough and the Tampa Bay Rays. Zach Wheeler enters his matchup with a 10-8 record, holding a 2.77 ERA. At 7:07, Robbie Ray and the Toronto Blue Jays are going to host Lucas Giolito and the Chicago White Sox. Giolito enters his matchup with a 9-9 record, holding a 3.77 ERA. Robbie Ray enters his matchup with a 9-5 record, holding a 2.79 ERA. At 7:10, Nick Pivetta and the Boston Red Sox are going to host Bailey Ober and the Minnesota Twins. Nick Pivetta enters his matchup holding a 9-6 record and a 4.43 ERA. And then at 7:10, at the same time, Taijuan Walker and the New York Mets are going to host Johnny Cueto and the San Francisco Giants, the team that hold the best record in all of baseball, with 20 more wins than the Mets at the moment. Johnny Cueto enters his matchup holding a 7-6 record and a 3.89 ERA. Taijuan Walker enters his matchup holding a 7-8 record and a 3.86 ERA. At the same time, at 7:10, Zach Plesac and the Cleveland Indians are going to host Jake Latz and the Texas Rangers. At the same time, at 7:10, Edward Cabrera and the Miami Marlins are going to host Josiah Gray and the Washington Nationals. At 8:10, the Milwaukee Brewers are going to be led by their all-star starting pitcher, Brandon Woodruff, as they host Luis Castillo and the Cincinnati Reds. Brandon Woodruff enters his matchup with a 7-7 record, holding a 2.48 ERA. And last but not least, on ESPN, with playoff stakes, the San Diego Padres, led by their elite starting pitcher Blake Snell, are going to host the Los Angeles Dodgers, led by their elite starting pitcher Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler enters his matchup possibly as the front runner for the National League Cy Young, holding a 13-2 record alongside a 2.11 ERA. Blake Snell enters his matchup with a 6-5 record, holding a 4.82 ERA, as he's already won a Cy Young. But right now, that is what baseball is looking like. And taking a quick look at what's going on outside the continent, basically what's been going on today was a lot of qualifying matchups for a lot of tournaments that are going on. Taking a look at what's going on today is going to be the MLS versus Liga MX All-Star game. That's going to be at 9:30. That's going to be pretty big. Many people are going to be looking forward to that, as that's probably going to be the biggest club soccer matchup that's going on in the U.S., even though it's technically not club. Also, there's going to be Champions League qualifying, And the Carabao Cup, Arsenal is going to face off against West Brom at 3 o'clock. In the German DFB Pokal, Bayern Munich is going to face off against Bremer SV, a team that is currently playing in the 5th division of Germany right now. But, of course, they're going to get their chance to take out the Giants here and now. But that's virtually what's going on in the world of soccer. And once all of these games are done, I will come back tomorrow once these games are completed. With that said, I want to thank the MLB, the ESPN, and the FIFA websites for helping me with all the facts and figures that I needed for this episode. I want to, of course, apologize for all the names that I butcher, as of course I plan to eventually get them right one day. And I appreciate the patience in waiting for all of these episodes to come back. This summer has been wild, but once I get back, it'll all be good. Thanks once again. I hope all is well, and I'll come back tomorrow on Thursday, August 26th, once all of today's matchups are done. With that said, I hope all is well. Peace out. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace out.